Robert, oh sorry, when you done.
Yeah, so them ones with the A, Robert. Okay.
Yeah.
I said that London's a bit distracting for me, so I was invited to train with Team Usyk. So I've been in Spain. We've been doing some good training out in Spain, and I think he's one of the best in the world. Not I think he is one of the best in the world, and it's not all down to him. It's also down to his team.
Wardley, I think he can.
Yeah.
And that's what I do think he can. I'm not saying he will, but I do think he can if everything's right. I do think he certainly can.
That's interesting. Because I was curious, I was going to put Fabio Wardley into the equation because the big thing about Fabio, and we'll talk about Fabio Wardley in a bit later on.
Has to be Wardley done it because he has the belts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the problem you got there as well.
Anthony Joshua is training with Oleksandr Usyk ahead of his fight with Jake Paul. Joshua has great respect for Usyk and sees him as a fighter who has achieved a lot and is considered one of the best. Training in this environment helps Joshua stay focused and pushes him to improve as he prepares for the Jake Paul fight.
Back to how someone who's achieved so much. It's been phenomenal, man. It's been a great...
While training with experienced members of Usyk's camp, Anthony Joshua works on many techniques to improve both his attack and defense. People watching say Joshua is always trying to get better, whether it's footwork, timing, or punch combinations. His training style is structured but flexible, allowing him to try new approaches in a safe setting. The camp also gives him sparring partners who recreate real fight situations, helping him stay sharp. As the fight gets closer, every session becomes more important for building strength and mental focus. Joshua's routine shows he understands that strong preparation and constant improvement are essential in boxing.
I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Oleksandr Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul, isn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do a little bit together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously after the Usyk fight, he's come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition
Well,
job.
yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helene, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the box rec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where what you've just said then, Spencer, like match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion.
Just
obviously I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to getting out and get back to winning ways is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8-rounders.
Yeah.
He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such a commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He always will be in shape. He's never, ever not been...
But it's not about his physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Oleksandr Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been blasted out by Deontay Wilder, and we've seen what Deontay Wilder...
Analyst True Geordie explains that Joshua joining Usyk's camp is about more than just Jake Paul. The focus also includes future fights, especially a possible matchup with Tyson Fury. Usyk has fought Fury twice and understands his style very well. Joshua is using this time to learn from that experience and apply those lessons to his own career. By watching Usyk's training habits and adapting parts of his style, Joshua improves his ability to respond in the ring. This preparation is careful and intentional, aimed at strengthening both his skills and his boxing intelligence. Training in Usyk's camp allows Joshua to learn from someone who has faced the very best. Usyk's experience against Fury offers valuable insight into movement, tactics, and adaptability. While the Jake Paul fight matters now, this training also prepares Joshua for future elite matchups. By studying Usyk's routines, sparring methods, and strategy, Joshua gains knowledge that goes beyond one fight. This shows discipline, planning, and a commitment to long-term growth.
Fighting. Okay, so but let's talk about what this means for AJ. He's going to Team Usyk. I think personally that is with one eye on the Fury fight. He's like, you clocked Fury. You completely understand everything about him. You fought him twice. You know every weakness, and I need to learn as much as I can from you in a short space of time. It's obviously not for a fucking Jake Paul fight. I think it's more about the Fury fight than it is about Ben Davison having people like Wardley. I think that's actually the real reason. However, I wouldn't mind seeing Anthony Joshua versus Wardley if AJ can get his mind right.
I believe that's in Feb. I believe that will be the next, because it makes the most sense. When you're trying to match make, I know Frank Warren does not want to put his fighters in together. It makes sense. And the money, we can go straight back to Wembley, and then actually, let's imagine that AJ does beat Fabio. Now we're talking about Fury versus AJ for a belt again. Yeah. It's perfect. So, and this is, I honestly feel this is the road that we're taking. Can
I ask you though? Do you think they're going to let Fabio in there with AJ before they get the biggest fight possible? Like, they've already fucked up AJ Fury enough times. Well, that's a big risk, right?
Well, the thing is, there's no safe route to a big fight anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? And the fact is, Fabio Wardley will be absolutely down for that fight because that's the biggest payday.
That motherfucker is game as fuck.
Yeah, but it's like, even just on the note of AJ with, the 5th trainer of his career so far, I think he's just disconnected from the idea that I'm going to have a trainer that me and him, and we're buddies and we're tight and we're in the pocket together. I think he's done with that. It's almost like modern basketball teams where they're not loyal to their teams anymore. They trade and they bounce around. The best situation, they just take it. I think he's looking at it like, I'll do a bit of time with you, bit of time with you. We don't need to be best friends and pretend like we've got this father-son relationship. Piss off, bro.
He's
Teach me what you want.
And I'm out. He's sponging as much as he can up from each individual trainer.
As boxers, do you look?
Eddie Hearn has spoken about the pressure surrounding Anthony Joshua's fight with Jake Paul. He says a loss could possibly lead to retirement, making this fight very important for Joshua's future. Even so, Hearn is confident in Joshua's ability and preparation, stressing that boxing is a serious sport. Joshua treats Jake Paul as a real opponent and prepares with full professionalism. While training in Spain with Usyk's team, Joshua sharpens his skills, improves his reactions, and builds stamina. Every drill and sparring session reminds him how important accuracy and control are, since small mistakes can change a fight. Hearn's comments show Joshua's serious attitude and commitment. Even with the unusual nature of this crossover fight, Joshua stays focused, disciplined, and respectful. His preparation combines strategy, physical readiness, and mental strength to ensure he is ready for the challenge.
Record saying that you and AJ must retire if Jake Paul wins on December 19th. Stand by that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I suppose so. Shit, yeah. Look, I don't see a world where Jake Paul wins this fight. I know that boxing's boxing. And I mean, what was it? Roy Jones came out this morning and said Jake Paul can win this fight.
Teddy Atlas as well.
Teddy Atlas. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, now I'm a bit worried. I won't retire. AJ should retire if he loses. No.
Sorry.
No, I see AJ winning this fight with ease, comprehensively, destructively, violently, and I don't see a world where Jake Paul is competitive in the fight, let alone win the fight. But luckily, AJ's not preparing in a way that he just thinks it's a joke. He's preparing for Jake Paul like he's a world title contender. Yes, it's been a little bit of a shorter camp. Yes, we've got to make weight this time around, but it doesn't matter. We should just slide through this guy and bash him up and beat him up, and we should do it early doors.
Just lastly, you said as well that you told Nikisa that he was weighing 290 when you were negotiating. What impact did that have? Did you feel like they would have gone even lower if they knew he was weighing 265?
No, I mean, I don't think that when you're negotiating on a weight, there's not one promoter in the world that would tell the truth about what the weight of the fighter was, and Nikisa knows that anyway. So it wasn't like we were being clever, but they wanted him to come to 240. And it's just, don't forget, AJ's never made weight before. So all of a sudden, he'd been in camp for, 2 or 3 weeks. And he's probably sitting at, 260, 265. And it's like...
Michael Bisping has spoken about the physical difference between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. He says there is no way Jake Paul can handle the kind of punches Joshua throws. Bisping refers to Joshua's past fights against powerful opponents like Francis Ngannou, noting that even bigger and tougher fighters struggled with his power. This comparison highlights Joshua's strength, accuracy, and dominance. The message is clear. Joshua's power, skill, and experience make him extremely dangerous. Jake Paul is facing a level of challenge he has never dealt with before.
Heavyweight champion of the world has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to mention the technical abilities. Let's just talk about that. Not to mention the technical abilities or experience. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, remember, from back in the day, who's then gone on to become a true British boxing icon, or a worldwide boxing icon, let's be honest, right? There's no way that he loses to Jake Paul, unless it's an exhibition match. Now, Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, came out and said, we are not interested in an exhibition match. We only want a professional rules fight.
And how would it work? Would it be an exhibition?
No exhibition. So we're not interested in exhibition. It's a real fight. It's a cruiserweight moving up to heavyweight. We were going to have an 8-round fight this year on an undercard somewhere, very obscure. We didn't expect that to be against Jake Paul, but it just so happens that if it is, it's for 50 times more money.
Well, that's just crazy straight away. Eddie Hearn is chatting some there, because this shouldn't be a sanctioned bout. Sanctioning Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is almost as bad as sanctioning Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. And remember, the commissions weren't going to do that, and then eventually they had to pull the plug. I did a video on this. Apparently, some allegedly, I don't know the whole story, some domestic abuse stuff. I don't know the details. I don't want to get into it. It's disgusting, whatever it is. But the fight's not going ahead. But apparently the commissions were very, very hesitant to license it anyway, right? Because of the weight discrepancy. Because that's what Jake Paul always does. But I will say that Anthony Joshua, that walks around 265, 270 pounds, he's going to have 50 pounds give or take on Jake Paul. I haven't gone away and looked up Jake Paul. If he's fighting Anthony Joshua, he's probably going to come in at about 220 pounds. Maybe he bulks up, maybe gets on a real good strength and conditioning routine and takes in loads of protein and gets the best nutritionist on planet Earth and goes up to 225. Right? Maybe he does. Maybe he becomes a proper fat bastard and just gets on the beers and the pies, right? And comes in at 230. Regardless, it's not going to be an athletic 230, and it's still going to be roughly, give or take, a 40-pound weight difference, 30 pounds, 35 pounds, whatever it is. It's a big weight disadvantage. Now, my guess is that this will probably end up being an exhibition matchup. And if it is...
Gareth A. Davies says Anthony Joshua appears calm and level-headed. As he prepares for Jake Paul, Davies mentions that some bettors are predicting a shocking upset, but he believes Jake only has a chance through a lucky punch. He adds that boxing can sometimes produce unexpected results, which makes the fight interesting to watch. Overall, the matchup feels like a strange spectacle, but also a clever business move, especially with Joshua earning around $25 million from the fight.
For this fight, he's got to go in there and do a number on Jake Paul and not allow the doubters, the punters, who are all laying money on Jake Paul causing the biggest upset in the history of boxing. Would you give him 1% maybe of throwing a rogue punch? No, exactly. It's very hard to give him any chance of winning the fight. But weird things happen in boxing. I'm fascinated to watch it. It's a freak show, but it's a brilliant marketing ploy to get those two in the ring together. AJ gets 25 million, I hear. That's my understanding. Gets 25 million. It's a very, very good payday for putting one tile on a roof, isn't it? You know.
Do you think Jake, for the first time in his boxing career, actually went, "Oh, I'm in for something here"? There was a point when he looked up at AJ, he kind of took a deep breath, raised his head, and I just thought maybe that's the first time he's actually thought, fuck, I'm up against it. I'm really up against it. There's no games here.
Yeah, he wasn't. I don't think he was acting. Well, when he looked at AJ's chest, the talk is that he was planning to motorboat him, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
and he thought
I'm not sure how that would have gone down. AJ was cool, but I'm not sure how that would have gone down.
AJ had the game face on at that point, and it says something about. I don't think that Jake Paul was crapping himself. I think it says more about his radar, that he realised he's got a very, very good radar, that it was the wrong thing to do, that it was disrespectful. There's no point playing a game here. That He said, I'm going to knock him out. He said, I'm going to stop him. He said, I'm going to call out Tyson Fury afterwards. I'm going to wreck the Fury-AJ fight.
Adam Catterall and Nick Pete reacted to the official announcement of the fight. They noted that while the matchup has created buzz, treating it as a full professional bout carries responsibility for both fighters. Joshua has said he will not throw punches at full power. Holding back slightly is meant to reduce the risk of seriously hurting Jake Paul. This shows Joshua's awareness of safety while still staying professional. He balances competitiveness with responsibility, making sure the fight stays controlled. His comments reflect maturity and
being told from those people that this is a fully professional boxing contest. I'd like to see the small print, to be totally honest with you, but that's what we're being told. We're being told that it's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. We're being told that they're going to use 10-ounce gloves, which are far too fucking small for Anthony Joshua to hit you in the face with when you're there. Listen, Jake's a good novice. Jake's a good novice.
Oh, yeah.
And if he wanted to have a legitimate career in boxing, then he would climb the domestic rankings in America, and he might even make top 50. He might make top 50 if you pick him right, great. But if you put him in with meritocracy and put him in rankings and actually make him fight the number 49 guy in America or try and climb up, he's going to get found out because he's a nutter novice. Now I speak from experience here. I did an exhibition bout with Shane Neary, a former world champion, and I was fucking 2 or 3 stone bigger than him. I was 5 inches bigger than him, very similar to AJ and Jake Paul. And I was a novice. I'd sparred and moved around my whole life, but I'd never been in a competitive fight. And we did it for charity. And we did 3 rounds. And at the end of it, I realised, and I knew it going in, that Shane Neary controlled pretty much every second of those 3 minutes. Pretty much every second he controlled. He put the pressure on me in 1 round. He hit me with the body shot in the 2nd round. And he caught everything I threw at him in the 3rd round when he said, go on, try and knock me out. Caught everything. And, you know, in a similar vein, Anthony Joshua controls every second.
Chael Sonnen shared a critical opinion on the fight, saying it lacks something special. According to Sonnen, there is no clear reason that makes the matchup must-watch. Even when looking for exciting moments, he does not see anything that truly stands out. This opinion reflects the ongoing debate about crossover and exhibition-style fights in boxing. Still, the official confirmation and attention around the bout show its importance. The fight continues to divide opinions among analysts, fighters, and fans.
Joshua, there's something missing. Now, no fight has ever drawn in the history of time where you don't have a reasonable belief, no matter how silly you look after the fact, but a reasonable belief going into it that both parties can win. And never in my lifetime has there been a sporting event that is as lopsided as Joshua versus Paul. And I've only made that statement one other time. And it turned out to be one of the most amazing sporting events I've ever seen. It was Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. At that point in my life, I had never seen a sporting event that was as lopsided. So we've got Joshua, we got Paul, we got the right players, got the right network.
Frank Smith discussed the money involved in the fight, pointing out that Anthony Joshua is earning a huge amount. He described it as easy money, saying the offer came unexpectedly and Joshua agreed without hesitation. This highlights the business side of boxing, where big names and high-interest fights bring in massive earnings. While the fight has professional meaning, the financial reward is also a strong motivation. Joshua's decision shows both his competitive mindset and his willingness to take advantage of a major.
Joshua Jake Paul, what was the original plan for Anthony Joshua? I heard he was just mid-fight week going to pop up and be told he's fighting it somewhere, or...
It came out of nowhere, yeah. I mean, and it moved very quickly. But if someone said to you, do you want to go and do your job, but a really easy version today for a ton of money? You'd say yes, and that's what he did. You know, he's going to make a load of money to knock out Jake Paul, and fair play to him. And fair play to Jake Paul as well.